Welcome back to Biz Talks. My name is Ray Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate. Hey, we are having a great conversation in this episode of Biz Talk. We've got great people that are coming on board, just business people that have extensive knowledge in their industry. And we've got another great expert that is going to be talking to us about communication, wireless, and all of those great things. Mr. Jim Bradfield, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. And this is how great communication is because if I'm not mistaken, sir, you are somewhere in the big island of Hawaii. Is that correct?
I am. I'm out at a customer client site over in the Big Island in their conference room.
So that's how great the work, over the folks over at NAS Wireless does because since you guys were able to provide all of that, wireless communications to your clients, you're able to use it right now, and just like you're sitting right here on the studio, we're having a live conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
That's fantastic. Well, welcome back to the show. We always have a great conversation. You always educate us quite a bit on everything that has to do with communication, and then your extensive background in your industry is very impressive, and I know that our viewers are going to, continue to get additional knowledge every time that you are on the show. So let's talk a little bit about your company, how you've supported the healthcare industry for many years now. Let's provide a brief summary of the types of healthcare facilities in which you specialize in.
Yeah, so we work actually worldwide. Right now, as you said, I'm in the Hawaiian Islands working with a healthcare group, and we've done hospitals, we do entire campuses, we do entire medical groups that span, nationwide, even worldwide. Pretty much anything that has to do with the healthcare industry. We support everything like Mexican. They have Mexican clinics. They have a lot of indigent care clinics and things like that, and we support all of those kind of things down in obviously in Mexico and a lot of emerging countries. And we handle pretty much everything from all their wireless to, their even a wireless in the shops, the wireless for specialty things like the emergency rooms, handling their things they call CALs, which is computer on wheels. And we work in the operating rooms, which is a very special environment with the IoT devices connected wirelessly. And then we work with portable X-ray machines. We work especially on the triage centers for hospitals. If they have a mass disaster or something like that, they'll have an outdoor area in the parking lot roped off. It's kind of like, probably a football field wise kind of thing. And we support all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can only imagine how many how many devices are connected to a wireless network that you guys have implemented. And I got to tell you, I mean, I've been in hospitals, many times in my life, and to see that technology continue to improve to where medical devices are being used that are connected to the wireless, and your company is the one responsible for making this happen. Phenomenal stuff, my friend. I appreciate everything that you guys do. Let's talk a little bit about some of the concerns, within the healthcare facility with patient care and safety being at the top of mind. Elaborate a little bit more on the type of network issues that you commonly address that are, affecting the health, wellness, and the safety of patients and staff.
Yeah. So what kind of things happen in a hospital is that networks go out, and a lot of the times they don't have a full IT staff, or they do have an IT staff, but they're more concerned about the machinery and the biomed, that kind of stuff. So our team supports all of the efforts within the network. That could be wireless, that could be networking, that could be the security, almost anything like that. Now, one of the things that happens is that there's patient record issues. Patient records can be in just a piece of paper, on a pad. which sometimes have RFID tags on them and things like that. So they need a special network for that. You also would have a patient record. Maybe it's like on your phone actually, right? And you actually have a software that's on a regular phone that actually the nurses can bring up software that talks about all the patient records, gives all the details on that patient. And that has to be a specialized network because otherwise it won't come up. It's got to come up everywhere within the hospital. And the other kinds of things are interoperability of the networks. There's a lot of times when this network maybe works really well, but it was a completely different installed network. Maybe these guys installed something else over here, but they can't communicate. So we make sure that everything communicates together, especially when there are medical devices that have wirelessly enabled devices inside them, like we call it, again, a computer on wheels or a mobile cart or something like that. A lot of that stuff doesn't actually connect well on the network, and it can't support the brand new wireless that happens. So we make sure that everything is looked at and run through, make sure that everything's connected and works flawlessly, most of the time. Now, what happens is there could also be outdoor interference. We've seen it where there's, the cable that's right outside the window of an ER, for example, could interfere with the RF in the data, and that's a really big deal. And the other kinds of things that happen is, you've got an MRI room or something like that that's a control room with leaded glass. It's almost impossible to get through that. And it also has, thick walls to protect the operators and things like that. So we know how to work within those rooms to get the RF that's needed to actually function, which is, it's kind of a trick actually, but it actually works really well. So that's one of the really special things. And again, the thing that really is a key is patient safety. And you do things like RFID tagging for a patient, for a baby. I think we talked about that before. That's just to make sure that the baby is monitored throughout the hospital. It can be taken off the grounds pretty quickly. And that's, 3 out of 4 abductions for children is in a nursery. So they make sure that those guys are really carefully monitored. They're monitored back and forth to the moms. They're monitored all over the hospital. We do that we build networks for the RFIDs for making sure that patients with disabilities who have maybe mobility problems and can't walk, ALS type of patients or something, and also dementia ward patients, they need a special bracelet, just to make sure that everybody knows where they are in the hospital. So we provide all of those services, everything that works within the whole hospital. And we also work with all the departments in the hospital, not just the medical staff, but also the biomed people, because you've got to test all their machinery as well. If you just put a network up willy-nilly, it's not going to necessarily work. And that's going to be the real big issue. It's going to either interfere or not work at all. And so you've got to make sure that you test all the document IDs things, all of the IoT things, all of the things that the biomed guys are going to want to have on the wireless.
Absolutely. So that's the reason why we have such experts like you, man, because you guys know exactly what you're doing. But there is one question that I do have, in terms of patient records, compliance with HIPAA laws and regulations and things like that. What are you guys doing to ensure that through this wireless networks that patient records are maintained safe and secure?
Well, not only internally do we have, we have every kind of internal security that you can imagine on the RF, on the network, and that kind of thing. But one of the things that happens is people actually leave back doors open. When I say a back door to the network, I'm talking about, there's an open area where they can log in remotely from their house. Sometimes that is secure, but the other times what happens is you don't have the same security at your house. So if you're logging in remotely, and into that network and you leave a back door open, well, bad guys can get in. And that is what happens to a lot of people. So we run a compliance audit on the entire network just to make sure there's no back doors open, that there's nothing that's going on that shouldn't be there. The biggest deal aside from safety is the patient records. And that's actually a big deal for safety as well, because bad actors can get that, and they can mess with mess with their date of birth. They can mess with their ID. They can mess with their bank account. They can even mess with whatever medicines are given. So that's one of the big deals we do too, is compliance on networks.
Absolutely. So that's the reason why we wanted to have these conversations with you, because the expertise are, we're talking about decades of expertise in this field, and that's the reason why you have clients all over the world. So that is amazing. Jim, we want to thank you for being on the show. Once again, it's always a great conversation, and we learn every single week, from you a little bit every single week. So it's amazing. We can't help, to ask you these questions, but it's for the greater good of the people that are watching, so that we can all educate ourselves. And we look forward to having you in upcoming shows.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
All right, we appreciate you. All right, folks, that concludes this week's episode. We definitely do want to appreciate and thank all of the guests that were on the show today. Hopefully you got some insights, you took down some notes, and we look forward to being with you next week with another panel of great experts. Until next time, take care of each other.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.